Most people believe that 6 hours of sleep is enough to function. After all, many adults sleep around 6 hours during busy work weeks. They wake up early, go through the day, drink some coffee, and manage to stay productive. But sleep researchers often recommend something closer to 7 or 8 hours. So what actually happens inside the brain when sleep increases from 6 hours to 8? Is the difference really important, or is it just a small improvement? From a biological perspective, those 2 extra hours can completely change how the brain recovers during the night. To understand why, we first need to look at the structure of sleep. Sleep is organized into cycles that last roughly 90 minutes. Each cycle contains several stages that support different functions inside the brain. The early cycles of the night contain more deep sleep. During this stage, brainwaves slow down and the body begins its most important recovery processes. Deep sleep helps repair neural connections, strengthen immune function, and activate the glymphatic system, a cleaning process that removes waste products from brain tissue. Later cycles of sleep contain longer periods of REM sleep. REM sleep is strongly associated with dreaming, emotional regulation, and memory integration. During REM sleep, the brain processes experiences from the day and organizes them into long-term memory networks. When someone sleeps around 6 hours, the brain usually completes only 4 sleep cycles. This allows some deep sleep and some REM sleep to occur. But the final cycles, which contain longer REM periods, are often shortened or missing entirely. With 8 hours of sleep, however, the brain typically completes 5 full cycles. Those additional cycles include extended REM periods and lighter sleep stages that help stabilize emotional memory and creative thinking. In other words, the difference between 6 and 8 hours is not simply 2 hours of rest. It is the difference between 4 cycles of brain recovery and 5 cycles. And that extra cycle matters. One area where the difference becomes visible is cognitive performance. Studies examining sleep restriction show that individuals sleeping 6 hours often experience gradual declines in sustained attention. Their reaction times become slightly slower, and maintaining focus for long periods becomes more difficult. People sleeping 8 hours generally maintain more stable cognitive performance. Their brains have had enough time to complete both deep recovery processes and REM-related memory integration. Memory formation is another system strongly influenced by sleep duration. During sleep, the hippocampus temporarily stores new information from the day. Overnight, this information is gradually transferred into long-term storage networks within the cortex. Deep sleep strengthens newly formed neural connections, while REM sleep helps integrate those memories with emotional and contextual information. When sleep is limited to 6 hours, the brain may not complete the final REM cycle that supports this integration. 8 hours of sleep usually allows the brain to finish this process. As a result, people who regularly sleep 8 hours often demonstrate better recall and more efficient learning. Emotional regulation is also affected by sleep duration. When sleep becomes shorter, the brain's emotional center, the amygdala, becomes more reactive. At the same time, communication between the amygdala and the prefrontal cortex weakens. This connection normally helps regulate emotional responses and maintain rational control during stressful situations. With only 6 hours of sleep, emotional reactions can become stronger and stress responses more intense. 8 hours of sleep helps restore this regulatory balance. Another critical difference appears in how the brain manages fatigue. When sleep duration is too short, molecules that signal sleep pressure accumulate more rapidly in the brain. One of these molecules, adenosine, builds throughout the day and contributes to the feeling of sleepiness. During sleep, adenosine levels gradually decrease. 6 hours of sleep may reduce some of this pressure, but not all of it. Over time, this incomplete recovery can lead to chronic sleep debt. 8 hours of sleep allows the brain more time to fully clear these signals and restore alertness. Perhaps the most surprising discovery in sleep research is that people are often poor judges of their own sleep needs. Someone sleeping 6 hours may feel completely functional, but objective tests often show subtle declines in reaction speed, attention, and decision-making ability. Because these changes appear gradually, they can go unnoticed for long periods. When people increase their sleep from 6 hours to 8 hours, many report a noticeable shift in mental clarity, thinking feels sharper. Energy becomes more stable and emotional resilience improves. The brain simply has more time to complete the biological processes that support healthy cognitive function. Of course, sleep needs vary between individuals. Some people naturally require slightly less sleep, while others perform best with 9 hours or more. But for most adults, 8 hours provides enough time for the brain to complete nearly all of its essential recovery cycles. And in the long run, that additional recovery time can significantly influence how effectively the brain supports memory, emotional balance, and daily mental performance. Because in sleep science, the difference between 6 hours and 8 hours is not just about feeling rested. It is about whether the brain has had enough time to complete the complex work it performs every night. Another important difference between 6 hours and 8 hours of sleep involves how the brain regulates long-term mental energy. Throughout the day, billions of neurons communicate constantly through electrical and chemical signals. This activity requires enormous amounts of energy. Even though the brain represents only a small percentage of body weight, it consumes a large portion of the body's daily energy supply. Sleep is the moment when this system resets. During deeper stages of sleep, the brain begins restoring energy reserves inside neurons. Glycogen levels in supportive brain cells, known as astrocytes, are gradually replenished. These energy reserves help stabilize neural communication during the following day. When sleep is shortened to 6 hours, this restoration period becomes compressed. The brain may prioritize the most essential recovery processes, but there is less time available for full metabolic reset. Over time, this can produce the familiar experience of mental fatigue during the afternoon or evening. The brain is still capable of functioning, but its energy systems are operating with smaller reserves. 8 hours of sleep allows a more complete restoration of these metabolic resources. As a result, cognitive endurance often improves. Tasks that require sustained concentration, reading, studying, complex problems can be maintained for longer periods without mental exhaustion. Another difference between 6 and 8 hours of sleep appears in the brain's ability to regulate attention networks. Attention depends on coordinated communication between several brain regions, including the prefrontal cortex, the parietal cortex, and structures deep within the brainstem that regulate alertness. When sleep is shortened, this network becomes slightly less stable. Small lapses in attention become more frequent. These lapses may last only a few seconds, but during that moment, the brain briefly struggles to maintain full focus. In laboratory experiments, researchers call these brief interruptions micro-lapses of attention. They are often too short to notice consciously, yet they can influence performance in tasks that require continuous awareness. 6 hours of sleep increases the likelihood of these attention lapses. 8 hours of sleep helps stabilize the neural networks responsible for sustained focus. The difference can be especially important in activities such as driving, learning complex skills, or performing tasks that demand consistent attention. Sleep duration also affects how the brain manages emotional resilience. Throughout the day, people encounter situations that trigger emotional reactions: stress, frustration, excitement, disappointment. During sleep, especially during REM sleep, the brain processes these emotional experiences and gradually reduces their intensity. This process helps maintain psychological balance. When sleep is shortened to 6 hours, REM sleep may be reduced or compressed. As a result, emotional signals from the previous day may remain stronger than usual. This can lead to slightly heightened emotional responses the following day. People may notice that small challenges feel more irritating, or that stress accumulates more quickly. 8 hours of sleep typically allows the brain to complete more REM cycles, giving emotional processing systems enough time to stabilize. This is one reason why people who sleep longer often report feeling more emotionally balanced and better able to handle daily challenges. Another fascinating aspect of sleep duration involves creativity and insight. During REM sleep, the brain begins linking pieces of information that were previously unrelated. Neural networks reorganize knowledge and detect patterns between experiences. This process is believed to contribute to creative problem solving. When sleep is limited to 6 hours, the brain may lose a portion of this REM-driven integration. The result is not necessarily a dramatic loss of creativity, but a subtle reduction in cognitive flexibility. Ideas may feel harder to connect, and complex problems may take longer to solve. 8 hours of sleep allows the brain to complete these integrative processes more consistently. This additional REM activity can sometimes lead to moments of insight or clearer thinking during the following day.